how do you engage your demography? Okay, in this case now we are looking at maybe the United Kingdom because that is where you stay. Of course, I know your business also is in the United States, but of course, again, we are the global majority. So wherever we might find ourselves in the world, thanks to the magic of internet, we can connect. So we are not really limited to any particular location. As long as we are among the African diaspora, we can connect among ourselves. So how do you engage with the diaspora community in terms of book reading, or how should we engage in that line? So help me understand your take on that.
I'm really pleased that you've mentioned that because there's a couple of ways, and something that we've been thinking about for a very long time when we first even set up our first business, Beauty and the Beast Publishing. And it was always going to be a framework for us to be able to sort of um, if you like, elevate, the work that we do in that we can reach more of our particular demographic. So obviously, with our Beauty and the Beast, it's a money, it's a profit-making business, and money is exchanged, etc. It runs like any other normal small business out there, and it does great work in serving the underserved communities. But for us, there was always got to be a very central and focal point for our own diaspora, that may be a part of the underserved communities, but for us, it's very much entrenched that we need to have our own Black organizations as well, our own Black communities. So what we have done is, as an extension of our non-profit organization, The Shift, we have set up this new framework, which is called markofnations.com. And that is a framework where it's a global developmental infrastructure for Black community to discuss um, things that we need to resolve, in society and go that step further than we have seen in the past from our Black leaders. And this is a framework where we're encouraging all and requesting for all Black leaders, policy writers, lawyers, um, entrepreneurs, technologists, anybody really, scientists, people from that sort of background that can come in and, lend their voice and their experience, to our demographic. And, and even from the political areas as well, we want to have that political voice, as the global majority, as you say, and be able to sort of look at writing our own policies for our own networks. As well as that, we want to look at also the pick industry as well, the prison industrial complex, and have a look at the oppression that takes place there, and what we can do about that to alleviate those kind of pressures that Black people face around the world as a community daily.
Thank you for that. That outreach for me sound very interesting because now if I were to go back again to the research that I've done here in Verona, northern Italy, uh, there is something that I think I really got out of the research, talking to people that have been here for like the past 40 years. So at one time, because now I'm reviewing the book, one of the book that the one of the first book that actually published in it, because now I want to republish it, so I need to do a second edition of it, of course. So I'm reviewing the materials, and now I'm thinking back to what they were telling me at the time. That some of them when they came in here in the city, okay, some of them were students. They saw what were the challenges of other people that were coming in who were a student. When you come in as a student, you are in the university area. The kind of life you live is different from the one who comes in who never go to that environment. And so sometimes they even find some people who were analphabetic, so who didn't know how to read and write. So what they were doing among themselves were to organize reading exercises for these people, talking about their politics, sensitizing the people so that everybody sort of got to know what is going on at home, where they are coming from, and how to find their way around here. Well, to some individuals, that might not sound like a very huge project, but that is very important. It's sort of setting a foundation of how these individuals are going to find themselves in the society. Because life now is made up of the little choices that we've made. And the little choices that we've made is based of the information that we have. If we have the right information, we make little choice today. If we have if we want to make another choice tomorrow, we make it based on the choice that we have made today, maybe based also on another right information. So that at the end of the year, we will have made a good enough information, then we are moving towards the right direction in life. Otherwise, within the African diaspora community or within the immigrant community in general, there are a lot of traps that we can easily fall into to just get derailed and we can end up in the jail, like you were saying, okay, maybe the industrial complex. So what I'm trying to say here is that this engagement, which are the best way that we could actually leverage to sort of bring this information to the people, to the mainstream, sort of, if that is even possible. Because like you were saying, maybe we might not be able to force it on them. But now we need to look at education as something that is also available to all of us. Because the children that are growing with us, we organize ourselves. We don't have a way of communicating. What are we communicating? What are we saying that can help us shape a better life for ourselves and the community? So, what would you like to say around that?
I would like to say that to the younger generation, especially those that feel very despondent, a lot of the resources that were available to them in the past are no longer here. However, I feel like a framework and a nonprofit organization such as Mark of Nations is actually a platform that can be used for all people from our community around the world, where we can share experiences and start to build our own infrastructures and networks, forming our own social economic groups as well. We need our own political systems, we need our own prison industrial complex, because if you look at that in particular today, especially when you see it's such a disproportionate amount of Black people that enter that infrastructure, a lot of them, or the majority of them, are going in and are coming out even worse than they went in to begin with. And that is going to affect us for generations to come. There's a lot of work that needs to be done in every area of our infrastructure. If you look at other communities, they seem to have it, or seem to give the outward appearance of having it more together than we actually have it, as our own community. And that's something that we need to urgently do something about, especially when you look at these new Jim Crow laws that are coming out, in America. I mean, they only need to sort of set the trend before other countries start to follow, which will have a great impact on us if we don't start rebuilding and looking at some of these infrastructures and how we're going to be able to see or work through them. It's really important.
Mhm. Uh, yeah, that a prison industrial complex is something that become important again. But of course, then it depends on how we want to look at the argument, the injustice that is in place that sort of help people to just make a one-way direction to fall in that place. That is where you end up. And then what happened when you are in there, when you are inside the prison? What happened to your life? Does it end there? One time I was interviewing a correctional officer in Jamaica whom we were sharing idea of how does the prison system even work? Because somehow some people believe that if you commit a crime, you are condemned. But no, that is not how the society set it up. Prison is not for condemned people. Prison is a place where you sort of where you can have a time to reflect. Because now the society have a code, have rules that you need to follow for there to be peace, for there to be order in the society, for the system to function. Because it's a machine. You are just a little boat in your end. For the machine to keep working, keep grinding, you need to play according to the rule that is set up for you. If you break out of that rule, if the society doesn't correct you, then you corrupt the society. For that purpose, the society set up a correctional facility, which is a prison can be part of this. So that now that you do something that is against the rule, the society sends you to a place where you can sort of have a rethink of what you have done and then come out better and still be useful to the society. Otherwise, they could just hang you there and shoot you if that was if that was the solution. But that is not the solution. The solution is that the prison was supposed to be opportunity for you to have a second chance. That is why there you go to school, there you learn something. so that you can come and also become useful. So, how do we marry this to maybe the kind of message we are preaching in the diaspora community? And how do we even go into the prison system to sort of uh, have a dialogue with what is going on there? I remember, for example, here in Verona, at one time, I've gone into the prison here to do a small documentary with an association here in the Verona city because I was interested really, and of course I had a chance to. I have the chance to be able to go in there, and then I interviewed some people some inmates that were in there, and what I saw there were human beings, were people who needed the connection, who needed to talk, who needed to have engagement. And of course, some of them are going to come out of there and become useful again to the society, like what I was saying before. But now, if we look at it again from another end, we'll see that most of the people that are there, if your parents are here, if you have everybody here who are going to become a sort of succor for you, they encourage you, they talk to you, that is one case. But what about the hundreds of thousands of African diaspora, okay, immigrants that are coming to Europe who do not have parents, they don't have sister, they don't have brother here, they are alone. If you are in prison, who talks to you, who writes you a letter, who make a telephone call, who disturb the prison warder, I want to see somebody. So some of these individuals, they are almost like abandoned. They remain there. So we cannot pretend that there are no consequences for that. There are consequences for that, both from the level of, from a psychological point of view and some other area, mental health and all of it. So as the African diaspora community, I think we should care about the consequence of that. But how do we address it? How do we go beyond the prison wall to sort of have a dialogue with the people that are in there so that we can talk?
I think that there's lots of ways in which that can be addressed. I think as a community, we need to be deciding on what our laws and what matters to us, as a people.